All right, let's just get right into it. We're talking about electrical safety today. But look, this is not going to be some boring, dry briefing. Nope. This is about stopping a disaster before it ever starts in your workshop. We're going to hunt down the fire hazards hiding in plain sight, and we're going to fix them.
And that is the absolute 100% truth. You know, the line between a project you're proud of and a total catastrophe? Well, it often comes down to just a few little details that are shockingly easy to miss. The stakes, they couldn't be higher. So let's make sure you know exactly what to look for.
So I want you to think of this as your official safety inspection. I'm here to walk you through the 3 most common violations I see, the ones that actually lead to fires. So listen up, because by the time we're done here, you are going to know exactly how to pass this inspection every single time.
Okay, first up on the clipboard, the fuse. This tiny little thing is basically your circuit's personal bodyguard. Its entire job is to throw itself on the grenade to protect everything else. But, and this is a big but, if you get this part wrong, it's totally useless.
So, I gotta ask you, is your fuse rated correctly, or is it just a ticking time bomb waiting for an overload? See, if it's undersized, it'll just pop all the time. But if it's oversized, it won't blow at all. It'll just sit there and let your wires cook themselves until poof, they ignite. There's a right way to do this, and it's the only way. All right, let's break it down. It's called the 125% rule, and trust me, for your safety, this is non-negotiable. First thing you do, figure out the absolute maximum continuous amps your circuit is going to draw. Got that number? Good. Step 2, multiply it by 1.25. Now, whatever number you get, that's the minimum fuse rating you need. So for the final step, you just pick the next standard fuse size you can find at or just a little bit above that number. It really is that simple, and it's the only thing that guarantees this little bodyguard is actually going to do its job.
Okay, so that leads us right into our second violation, the wire itself. You can have the most perfect fuse in the world, but if the actual path for that electricity is a liability, well, you're still sitting in the danger zone. This is one corner you absolutely cannot afford to cut.
And this right here tells you everything you need to know. On one side, you've got copper-clad aluminum, or CCA. Yeah, it's cheap, I get it, but it is a major fire hazard. Why? Because its higher resistance means it heats up like crazy under load. Now look at the other side, pure oxygen-free copper, OFC. This is the pro standard for a reason. Electricity just flows right through it efficiently and, way more importantly, safely. This quote just nails it. Using CCA wire for anything with real power isn't a shortcut. It's like you're pre-installing a defect. You are literally building a weak link that's designed to fail, and that failure usually involves smoke and fire. When it comes to power, it has to be pure copper. End of story.
And that brings us to our third and final violation, the connection. This is the spot where it all comes together. All that power transfers from the wire to whatever you're running. You can have the right fuse, you can have the right wire, but if this point fails, the entire system goes down with it.
You know, I see this all the time. This right here, this is the one thing that separates the pros from the amateurs. And honestly, it separates the safe builds from the unsafe ones. The method you use to connect a heavy-duty wire to a terminal is absolutely critical.
So here it is laid out plain and simple. A proper mechanical crimp, it creates something called a cold weld. Just think of it like forcing the metals together so hard they fuse on a molecular level, but without any heat. It's incredibly strong, it's flexible, and it's totally vibration-proof. That is a solid pass. Soldering, though, that's just filling the gaps with melted metal. It gets brittle, it cracks with any vibration, and it creates resistance. And what does resistance mean? Yep, dangerous heat. For any high current job, soldering is an automatic fail.
Let's just be crystal clear on this one. When you're talking about those big copper lugs carrying any real amount of power, a good mechanical crimp isn't just the better way to do it, it is the only professional and safe way. This isn't up for debate. This is a fundamental rule of electrical safety.
Okay, that's it. Inspection's over. We've hit the fuse, the wire, and the connection. Now it's time for your final certification. Let's just quickly recap what it takes to pass.
Here it is, your pass/fail checklist. I want you to burn this into your brain. Number 1, you will fuse your circuits using the 125% rule. Number 2, you will only use pure copper wire for your power systems. And number 3, you will use high-quality mechanical crimps for your connections, and you will never solder a high-current lug. You follow these 3 rules, you pass this inspection. Simple as that.
So the next time you head back into your workshop and you look at that project sitting on your bench, ask yourself that question.
You have the knowledge now. You know what to look for, and you know how to do it the right way. The safety of your project, it's in your hands. Make sure it passes.